Today, we're diving into something called pranayama. Now, you might hear that word and just think breathing exercises, right? But it is so much more than that. We're about to find out it's this incredible yogic key to consciously taking charge of our own life force. I mean, think about that. You take over 20,000 breaths every single day. And how many of those do you actually think about? Probably not many. They just happen. But what if you decided to breathe on purpose? Well, that's exactly what pranayama is all about. It turns this automatic background process into a powerful, intentional tool. So first things first, let's get our bearings. Pranayama isn't just some beginner-level warm-up. No, in the grand scheme of yoga, it's a really big deal. A major step that you have to properly prepare for. This is so interesting because it shows you how structured yoga really is, especially when you look at something called Ashtanga yoga, or the eight-limbed path. The ancient teachings are super clear on this. First, you've got to master the physical poses, the asanas. You need to build a rock-solid, stable body. Only then are you ready to start working with something as subtle and powerful as your own breath. Okay, so if it's not just about breathing, what's the big secret? What are we really working with here? Well, this brings us to the absolute heart of the practice, a little something called prana. Let's just break down the word itself because it tells you everything. Prana, that's the Sanskrit word for the vital energy, the life force that's in all of us. And ayam, that means expansion or control. So put it together, pranayama isn't just breath control. It's about expanding and directing your fundamental life force. The breath, that's just the vehicle you use to drive it. And why would you even want to do that? Well, the goals here are pretty profound. By learning to regulate this energy, you can calm a chaotic mind, you can cleanse your body's subtle energy systems, and you can actually prepare yourself for much higher states of awareness and deep meditation. There's this amazing quote from an ancient text, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, that just nails this idea. It says, when prana fluctuates, then the chitta, mind, also fluctuates. When the prana becomes steady, then the chitta also becomes steady. It's a direct connection. Think about it. When you're stressed or anxious, what happens to your breath? It gets all choppy and shallow, right? And your mind is racing. But a slow, steady breath, that brings a slow, steady mind. They're two sides of the same coin. All right, now that we know just how powerful this stuff is, we have to talk about how to approach it safely. Because you know the saying, with great power comes the need for great power and preparation. That same ancient text makes this incredible promise. It says that when practiced correctly, under guidance, pranayama can be this amazing tool for your well-being. But, and this is a huge but, it immediately follows up with this very stark warning. If it's done incorrectly, it can actually make you sick. The message here could not be clearer. This is not something you just pick up from a random video online. This is something you learn from a real, qualified teacher. And before you even start, the setup is everything. You've got to be sitting in a stable, comfortable position with a straight spine. That lets your lungs and diaphragm do their job properly. You need a clean, well-ventilated room, comfy clothes, and, well, you want to make sure you've used the restrooms so you're not distracted. These aren't just nice-to-haves. They're absolute must-haves for a safe and effective practice. Now, every single breath cycle in pranayama has three distinct parts. First, you have purak, which is a complete, full inhale. Then there's rechak, a complete exhale. And finally, you have the most advanced piece of the puzzle, kumbhak, which is when you consciously hold your breath. And I have to say this again because it is so important. Kumbhaka, that breath-holding part, is a seriously advanced technique. You should absolutely not try it without an expert guide, especially if you have high blood pressure or any heart issues. Seriously. Okay, so where do we go from here? Well, pranayama isn't just one single thing. It's more like a whole family of different breathing practices, and each one has a totally different effect on your body and your mind. This little chart gives you a great snapshot of the pranayama toolbox. You've got balancing techniques like Nadi Shodhan, which we're going to look at in a second. Then you have calming breaths like Brahmari, that's the humming bee breath, where the vibration literally soothes your nervous system. You even have techniques that can change your body temperature. Sheetli, where you breathe through a curled tongue, actually cools you down. And on the flip side, something like Bhastrika or bellows breath generates a ton of internal heat and energy. For most people starting out, the journey begins with Nadi Shodhan. The name literally tells you what it's for. Nadi means channel, and Shodhan means to purify. So its whole job is to clear out and balance your body's energy pathways to get you ready for the more advanced stuff.
And the mechanics of it are actually pretty simple. You're just gently switching which nostril you breathe through. So you breathe in through the left, then out through the right. Then you breathe in through the right and out through the left. That simple, rhythmic back and forth is incredibly powerful. It's believed to balance the left and right hemispheres of your brain and just bring a deep sense of calm to your whole nervous system.
So where is all this heading? We've talked about energy, we've talked about preparation and all these different techniques. But what's the final destination? What's the ultimate point of pranayama?
This quote just says it all perfectly. The breath is the bridge that connects our physical body to our often crazy mind. And if you can learn to regulate that bridge, you gain a massive amount of influence over what's happening on both sides.
And that brings us to the ultimate goal. See, pranayama is really the prep work for true meditation. By calming down the flow of your prana, you quiet down that endless chatter in your head. You create this inner stillness. And it's only from that place of stillness that you can dive deeper into meditation and start to explore higher states of awareness. You know, your breath is your most constant companion. It's with you from the moment you're born to your very last. It's this incredibly powerful tool that's available to you 24/7. So the real question isn't whether you have it, it's whether you choose to use it with purpose. So where will you let it take you?